seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
I'll just stay out, just so, because I asked.
All right,
Okay.
your choice. It passes anyway.
Okay.
You're good. Anything else, Annie?
So our event will run from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. that day. We'll have the parade at noon. I don't think there's anything major. So basically most everything's in there at that time. So I don't think there's else. We are working on landscaping for the park, the new sign. I've got quotes going on that right now. Obviously we don't want to do anything while the sidewalk remains undone. So we don't want to kill anything that we just planted. I need to get an update with Mike, but I think we're very close to having that sidewalk poured like in the next few weeks. So I think they did concrete.
I was out there a few days ago talking to JD, I think it was. He's the one doing
JB
doing the sewer section
concrete, yeah.
around that, yeah. And I got the indication that we're real close to being done with that, and the sidewalk will proceed shortly after.
Once JB finishes his portion, it may be done. I haven't gone by recently enough. But I know he had the form in there, so I think it's very shortly done.
And you mentioned sign. Are you doing something? You're going to improve the sign of the wall that was put out there, or is there some other sign that?
No. So the one that we've just added, we're going to landscape around.
It's landscape. Okay. Yeah.
So,
You don't want to do that to the sidewalk.
No, and that's where we're at. Like we may do the front once we get the front sidewalk, the main sidewalk laid, and then we talked about maybe one behind it, but we'll figure that out later.
And the bandstand.
And around the bandstand, yes. So we're working on that stuff.
Okay. Very good.
But hopefully sidewalk, you think maybe next week if we can get JB and Bob's jobs done before then. So that's what we're
He
working on.
wants to do it next week.
He wants to do it next week. So trying to get everybody to line up their ducks.
It'd certainly be nice that sidewalk can get
Yes,
completed
I am
before Fall
crossing my
Festival.
fingers for Fall Festival. I am almost positive we'll be done by then, but obviously I'm not gonna call it 100%.
And if you're needing some smaller grants too for park improvements, let's get with the Flint Hills Regional Council and get those lined up.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Annie.
Mhm.
City Public Officer Clay. He has an interesting report. Very interesting, I think. But
Hello, good evening.
I don't know.
Take a peek at those and pass them around. So it's just real quick, sort of
tell them where the property is.
204 East First Street, John Benson. So as far as just in general, I've been getting acquainted with sort of existing and current concerns, that kind of thing. Specifically was reviewing some old files that were there and had some notes, but no disposition. So that's why I went to this particular one on the 19th. Again, it's John Benson, 204 East First. The Ron King, the neighbor here to the west, when I was outside, I was taking some pictures, kind of doing some notes and whatnot. He approached me, kind of gave me the background. Mr. Benson has gotten ill. He is in a VA nursing home, long-term care, not coming out. He's in Topeka. So that explains why when you guys sent the certified letter last November, no response, because he never got it. So anyway, I was able to document the same issues that were there in November and October. The car, the garage, big hole in the roof, that kind of thing. So while I'm doing that, Mr. King came over, introduced himself. We talked for a minute, and he indicated that he had some significant concerns about rodents, roaches, pests, coming from that property.
Have you been inside?
Well, and that's where I'm going to right here.
I don't know if you guys remember, sorry to interject, we rescued and adopted his 2 chihuahuas.
Yeah.
Very shortly after he went to the VA.
Mm-hmm.
Like September of last year or
I
something
remember
like
that. Someone had told me he had as many as 10 in there at one time, but you only saw 2, right?
Well, he asked us to come and take the 2 that he had.
Were there others there?
Well, the officer and I and Mike Bone was with us.
Mhm.
We didn't go any further than the front room. We saw 2 dogs in 2 kennels. We were asked to get 2 dogs. We got those. We were out.
Okay.
So
I only ever saw him with 1 or 2 out. On the
And
front.
that's okay.
So
My,
I don't think.
you've seen the pictures. It makes me concerned that the other 8 might be buried in there somewhere.
And I
hate
don't
for
know
that
that he had.
be happening, but anyway, we're sorry, Clay.
No worries. And that corresponds exactly to what, when we talked, and again, Ron said, in fact, that he had a key and, that he was given the key and he'd open the door. And I said, sure. So he opened it up, and the pictures that you saw there, that's that front room. I didn't go into the kitchen. I didn't go into the bedroom. Couldn't go into the basement because the trash is piled up too high.
Basement is flooded too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm certain. So bottom line, clear violations of city code, blighted property. There's no question there. I did speak with both county and state folks, health folks. There is state code that could be applicable if we wanted to, but the fact is, we have a code that fits as well. What they both county and state both suggested, they said, because of the situation, might be beneficial to try to find relatives, to see about a power of attorney, that kind of thing. If that exists, it may not, but at least to sort of check those boxes off. But then the next steps, and that's really what I'm here to ask, is sort of some guidance. How hard do you want to press to move it forward? I mean, it's clear there's an issue and it's not going to get resolved. So I wanted to put that to you all.
Could I add to your information? John used to come into the store and he talked about the fact that the bank had a loan on it. So you might check with the bank to see if they have something there. He does have a sister. She has power of attorney over some things. So you could call VA, probably the city could probably call VA and get more information.
VA's
My
pretty
sister
tight.
has no power of attorney.
Doesn't have, well, it might be medical then.
No.
John, you don't think anything?
No.
All right, then he was just,
I've corresponded with her.
yeah. Well, I know she was gonna try and get away from all that. I'll leave it.
Yeah, she has no power of attorney on it.
On that.
Fact is, I asked John if he wanted me to have power of attorney on himself because he's definitely not getting taken care of.
Yeah.
Like he should.
Todd, is there somebody go away with and find out if anybody has power of attorney?
Not unless they're willing to disclose now.
Didn't he have a wife?
Had.
Divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Last known living in
Council Road?
Council Grove. Yeah.
Well, we have the house,
Mm,
we obviously have
Yeah, it's mine.
the location to send tax notices to. We have his location?
Yes, you know where he's at. Is it Rosa Villas or Rose Villas?
Roseville?
Yeah.
Roseville and Topeka?
Yeah.
So,
I have the address, I'll give you.
and he's the only owner of the property, right?
But yeah, that's what it shows.
Okay.
His name.
That's
Actually,
all we have to
it
get.
did. No, I take that back. It shows both still. Now, whether that's been corrected but not updated on the online record, but when you look at it, it shows both their names.
I might say that he hasn't been in contact with her since 2017, probably. She moved, changed phone number. Because she was supposed to pay half on the mortgage and she kicked out. But going a little further, the city turned the water off because the plumbing is, I mean, it all need new plumbing, water heater, everything, the same way as the gas. He hadn't had a furnace in there since 2015, probably. Electric meter sitting all over the place, and the electric company didn't turn electricity off till June because of the winters. thing, you know. This place is a health hazard.
And that's
Yeah.
just what I was gonna say.
And you can't keep a health hazard contained in a house. It leaves the house also.
Well,
So you know
is
if
the
there's
structure
disease
sound?
critters
Looks like
going
the
in and
roof's
out
like that.
there.
The definitely the garage is not sound. It's the roof's done. There's cracks in the supporting beam, so that thing may come down on its own. House, the back porch or the kitchen area, I don't think that roof is sound. So there's issues.
Sherry and I temporarily repaired the back porch roof 4 or 5 years ago. And that's as far as it went. I mean, the roof is rotten. There was a hole this big in the roof and we worked all day on it. Just to get it temporary.
The question being whether the structure could be salvaged by just cleaning it out with all the garbage that's in it, you know.
And-
The floor's ruined, we know that.
Well, and to be specific there, if we were going to put somebody in there, I would say that we'd have to make sure that it's not a biohazard because there's, I mean, there's,
It was about a year ago that I was in there, and there was actual like human
Yeah.
feces.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
if Mike was here, he could tell you, but like a year ago last November,
take it down to studs.
So
there
which,
was water
which
leaking
one
out
city
of my
council
lot
was it?
across the alley to the north. And I called the city because I knew it was city water, but I didn't know if there was a break in the line someplace. Well, come to find out after Mike and Jim got there, his water was leaking in the basement. It was coming up to a level where it was following the rock shelf clear across the alley to the north. Mike called Stephanie and asked what his water usage was the prior month. It was 47,000 gallons. So he never fixed it. He just turned the water off and kept using the stool and, you know, throwing the toilet on the floor.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
All
bad.
right. So now
And
that,
it is a hazmat situation.
Okay, well, then you're just talking about a entire tear down and abatement now.
Yeah, I would say that's the answer on both the garage and the house, because the garage is full of garbage also.
Well, the procedure's in the code. If he hasn't received a notice, then he gets a written notice from you first. Gives him some time to do that. If not, it comes before the council. And I'm assuming, unless he's got a miracle cure, it's gonna come to a tear down.
Well, about 3 weeks ago, I saw a sheriff deputy and an older gentleman out front, so Sherry told me that the older gentleman was with an auction company. My head doesn't work sometimes. But anyway, somehow or another, he had contacted John to go in the house to see if he could sell it. And he had a statement and the deputy with him to, I guess, serve it on me because I put the padlocks on. Anyway, they went about as far as you did. And the deputy turned around and said, "This is disgusting, I'm out of here." The real estate guy, I think he finally determined that even if somebody went in there and renovated the house, that it'd be more costly than it would be to just tear it down, build a new one. You know, so. And I went to see John after that, and he said, yes, the guy had stopped and gave him his card too, but I don't think anybody's gonna renovate the place. I mean, you're probably looking at $60,000-$70,000 just for renovation. And clean out. So,
So do you think that he would sign that property over to the city? Because we have like a land bank.
I think they're probably lean on it.
There's probably more
Right.
load on it than what you guys have had in your.
Yeah, the last I talked to him about it was a couple of years ago, and he said they still owe 35,000 on it.
We gotta give notice.
2010.
Also have to give notice to the bank, so you gotta figure out who.
And it's not a bank, it's a finance company, because I know he refinanced, but I have no idea.
What was his last name again?
And he probably
Benson.
don't either. He tells me,
It's in the deed record with the county.
yeah, he told me that he actually give his Social Security, the mortgage that's still been paid. That's senseless, John, you need to stop it.
Oh, jeez.
You know, I think it's probably 800 a month, maybe.
All right.
So,
Well, we'll get the ball rolling.
but the VA is providing him housing and meals, medicine, whatever, so.
So go ahead and get the written notice again and see if I can't look at the deed record with county and see.
Yeah, so he is his current lien holder.
And then we'll send a letter to John Benson at his,
And the lien holder too gets the
Yeah,
notice of
same
every time
time.
we do.
all right.
Okay.
And so maybe they take care of the problem, or did
Well,
the property?
I wouldn't
not have
hold
to
your
take the
breath.
I wouldn't either. Loan
I
company,
would hold your
no.
breath.
Probably write it off. But the
They might.
condition,
I don't know.
yeah, it's hard to say, but the condition of that place, nobody's gonna buy it for any decent amount of money.
That's what I'm saying, but they then possibly go to the land bank. Just to be rid of the
Well,
problem.
They could abandon their right to it.
Well, that's the problem is that they would just release the mortgage rather than do anything like that.
Mhm.
That's all they have to do. And they don't wanna,
Can we be direct and ask them to do that?
sure, there's no problem to make that request. Say, if you wish to release your mortgage and we can get it. I assume that the only one who has to really sign off on it is the owner. I mean, as far as if the lien holder files what's called a release of mortgage, they can do that anytime.
All right, I've got some stuff to do then. And before I finish, I also just wanted to give a note of thanks there to the Kings. They've been mowing the property.
Yeah, for 7 years.
So
If I hadn't been mowing, there wouldn't be a thought in anybody's mind to tear it down. Because it.
Right.
Goodness, they wouldn't have been able to see it.
Yeah, so, you know, and I done it for our sake too, you know. We were actually up here outside mowing and snakes into our yard, rattlesnakes.
Ooh.
And so it's easier to mow than put up with pests.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
all right. Anything else for me?
No, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. King. Okay, animal control. Aspen.
Hello. I wanted to ask. Last fall sometime, a girl came in talking about her rooster, and the crow collars. And I was curious if we had ever settled on anything with that. Is she keeping her rooster? Is she not keeping her rooster? I think we have a copy of what she brought.
Is there an issue with it still, or you're just following up?
I'm just following up because we have reports of other animals of the livestock variety that you're not supposed to have in town. So I'm going to start finding out if that's true. And if it is, they've apparently had them for a long time. And so I kind of wanted to start with where do we stand on the rooster before we go to where do we stand on
So the
all
ordinance
of
still
these-
says no roosters, right?
Yes.
We never did
Yeah,
add
so it's-
roosters.
it's
Just
illegal
changed it.
to get added ducks.
Yeah, and
It's
okay.
not
We
roosters.
changed it in general, not the rooster issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Rooster ducks.
so the rooster is treated no differently than having too many horses, cows, goats.
Llamas.
Pigs.
Okay. Following up with that, we have on record, people have the ability to apply for prohibited animals. If you want to pass that around. Because I know when I go to this particular family and try to tell them that your rooster is not allowed, you have to get rid of it, they're going to want to fight back about it. You know, the girl's had the rooster for, I don't know how long roosters live, but she's had it since it was a chick. So probably going on like 2 years now, I would say. And is this something we want to allow people to do, is to apply, and then you guys as the council that says can vote on that,
Where'd you get this form?
from the filing cabinet. And it talks in section 2:111. It talks about registering and requiring a permit and paying the stated fee, and all of the information that would be required on that form is listed in the ordinance.
Don't you guys have in your ordinance where, if they're a support animal?
No.
That's a
We don't
new,
have that
that's a
anymore?
very new thing.
Yeah, no, there's
Support animals.
nothing.
Well, it's just that 501 used to do that.
And that's why this would make it a case by case basis for you guys to essentially vote on if they applied for a prohibited animal. I mean, they would have to explain why and, you know, all of that. I'm sure you guys would want to have questions and so on and so forth. But these are just some things that I feel like are going to be coming down the pipes.
Well,
Um,
Well, that specific family has had those animals, some of them for over 5-6 years.
so do we let them apply for,
We
a
didn't talk about
permit?
the rooster till somebody complained about the rooster.
do I just not say anything and look the other way because I've got somebody complaining about a rooster on the other side of town that I'm kind of dragging my feet on because we haven't made a decision about this girl and her rooster. So I can't drag my feet for much longer before.
I thought we decided no roosters.
Have you seen this
Well,
before,
that's,
Sean?
yeah, I haven't seen that.
But the
We did.
if
Yeah,
I
and
remember
that- if
right, the
that's
little
how
girl
we
came
wanna
in and
play
gave a
it-
presentation,
I'm sorry,
and
am I too loud in
everybody
your ear, Michelle?
allowed her and her mother to think that they were going to get this collar to fix the problem, and then they wouldn't have an issue. Correct me, anybody, if I'm wrong, if we
She did
did
make a
not give that
presentation.
official
I was
opinion to
not
the
at
lady.
that meeting.
She did a presentation on crow collars, but we never actually said, yes, you could get a crow collar and keep a
I must
rooster.
have missed
We
Or,
never
but we
told
didn't
them that-
enforce it either, so.
We didn't
Okay,
tell them
what's
they
a crow
couldn't.
collar?
So it's like sits around almost like, you know, your,
It's a bark collar for.
Similar.
yeah,
Similar.
yeah, it can only make like
Must have
a
been
small
when I was
sound
going
with
to
it,
the
so
heart thing.
not a full crow.
Let's,
No, like a
and we need to be clear about this form. What this allows you is if you want to be in the exception to have 2 cattle, 4 swine, 4 goats, or 4 sheep, you have to have this form. You have to apply, you have to register to have those.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you can have any animal you want. It doesn't mean
Right.
rooster.
It lists
You can ask.
the
Is it
specific
specific
say?
to what you can ask
farm
for?
animals.
Yeah, it says,
Yes.
it says this
Skip
is
that line.
2110G, which is maintaining of 2 cattle, 4 swine, 4 goats, and 4 sheep. As long as the animals are quartered within the contiguous singular property line.
And that I believe is probably going to be an issue for people as well, is having that 5 contiguous acres here in town.
Well, that's the
So-
ordinance, so.
I believe nobody does.
Have you been, you haven't been over yet.
I also
The
think that
rooster's the
5
smallest crow over
continuous
there
acres
that
is
you're gonna
quite.
get.
a
Oh,
bit.
no, I know. That's why I said I want
One
to
or two
start with the
goats.
rooster and
When
then,
you only need 200 square feet.
I don't-
because then there's reports of other properties that I have not had a chance to verify yet that also have land, not 5 acres, but land enough that they could have animals that you wouldn't be able to see driving by, or you know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to go and actually see if these animals are on property. The one property I know 100% for sure there's a farm going on.
That'd be 6th and Main. Address would be like 601.
No. I'm looking at East 2nd Avenue.
Okay.
Do we have a 16?
6th and Main would be
Yeah.
another rooster. Yes. Yes. But
Oh,
the
right outside. Yeah, okay.
Right before the
It's like, right in
Right-
the town.
right before 8 Mile Road.
Oh,
the
yeah.
multiple animals that are currently prohibited are at 514 East 2nd. They've registered their chickens and their ducks, and you know what I mean, but nobody talks about the other animals. So I've just been not talking about the other animals. Does that make sense? So, but now if no roosters and I'm going to start cracking down on that, then people are, how it's going to be. Well, so-and-so has this and so-and-so has that. And so it's going to be a big crackdown if that's the route we want to take.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's a route we take unless the council decides to change the ordinance.
Okay, sounds good.
I just have a hard time telling somebody to get rid of an animal that they've had in our town for 6, 7, even longer years.
I do too, which is why I'm going to
When
be
we've
honest.
known
When
the
I go to
problem,
these
And
people,
we've continued to let it go.
one of the things that I will tell them is you have the right to go and talk to city council about this. You can go in, raise your concerns, say what you want to say. I am simply telling you this is what my job is telling me to do. You can't have your animal. You know what I mean? And then
Is llamas on the prohibited list, Todd?
we'll deal
Exotic
with
animal.
are they named specifically
I
on the
don't know if
list
they're named
of,
specifically.
because there is a very
Maybe.
specific list of prohibited animals.
But then there's a catch-all of exotic animals.
Yes. Yes.
Well, the only ones they're going to be applying for is going to be cattle, swine, goats, or sheep.
And some of them as I've heard, like I said, I have not been able to verify yet. There could be a couple of goats. So those but I think they're going to run up against it when it comes to the 5 contiguous acres.
Well, I know that when that ordinance came out, we had goats.
Yeah.
And the public officer at that time came to our house with a written
That's an
letter
interesting thought.
What'd you say?
It's a temporary thing, though.
saying that we were grandfathered in, but once that animal dies, we're no
Yeah.
longer allowed to replace it. And now we're seeing where we could have applied.
So what
We
year?
had goats. We had 2 goats, so we apparently could have applied to keep them or get more to replace them. But I was tired of them by then anyway.
And I don't know what year the goats became like that they put in that you couldn't have goats. I don't know when. So it would be interesting to find out. I mean, goats, how long do goats live?
Average is 7 years.
Okay.
My
So
mom was grandfathered in, lived over 12.
okay. So the chances of these people having had their
Or she had an
goats
identical.
in order to be grandfathered in is probably pretty slim because they probably wouldn't have lived that long. But so I've got some digging to do on some properties to find out for sure. But so I guess that's what we're gonna do.
I say go for it.
Could I
They'll
ask a
come yell
question?
at us.
Sure.
They will.
Your chickens and ducks and whatever,
I'm just the
do
messenger,
people have a
right?
permit before
That's what you tell them.
they get them? So I don't really see the problem if they don't have a permit for them, they're against the ordinance.
Correct.
That's my feeling, but
I think the lady that came in and had us change the duck
Agree.
thing already had them before we changed it for her.
I do
correct?
believe,
I actually don't know on that.
I do believe the council tries to give the homeowners the opportunity to solve the problem
Actually, she
without
did it
us
because she's
intervening.
getting the eggs from Tasha. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you know.
yeah.
That's usually the case with the council. We don't want to ramrod anything down anybody's throat unless we absolutely have to. So in this particular case, if people have animals out there they're not supposed to have, we'll notify them of that. They can come in and talk to the council. And then at this point, we're going to tell them you have to get rid of them. And then if they don't, we're going to send Mr. King and his wife over to take care of it. Huh? Is that right? Am I missing something here? Okay.
I'm gonna make a copy of this for myself.
I think that might have been all I had.
Update us on the dog in the back.
So Lisa found a document from 2002, I think it was.
It was very painful. Right now after her, so if you could go clear up there.
I'll just talk in like 2002, there was an agreement between Auburn Animal Clinic and the city of Eskridge that they would take in and impound a dog for up to 3 days. They would take care of it and then do what needed to be done with the dog. There were prices, agreed upon between them and the city. So I called and left a message with them trying to verify if this is still an agreement that we have or if this was terminated at some point in the last 20 years. And so I'm just waiting to hear back from that. And if that agreement is good to go, I will be taking the dog into Auburn.
I'd prefer that we kept it here until we adopted it out, because like she said, it's 72 hours and then they put it to sleep.
And we've had the dog for how many weeks now?
But have we actively been posting and trying to get rid of it?
Yes. And I have
Flyers,
been reaching out
everything.
to different, well, I haven't done flyers, like paper flyers. I've reached out to a few different shelters and rescues, the problem being that it is part pit bull. So a lot of the shelters and rescues in the state cannot take him. And there's a couple like Facebook dog adoption, rehoming groups and stuff like that that I've put him in, and just really so far.
I'll take a picture.
We're on 2 weeks with him now, or we're in our 3rd week right now with him. So
I want to ask you, are you aware of the dogs in town that have died from parvo?
no,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah, there were apparently some dogs that were running around, and then somebody was
Contaminating ground around the Prairie Wind.
around the Prairie Wind Apartments, and somebody had some of Deb Ponton's, a couple of Deb Ponton's puppies, and it started getting real sick. And instead of taking it to the vet, they snuck it back into where her other puppies were, and all the dogs died. All the
I
puppies died.
just had a group of dogs that died from parvo before, so it was probably already in her yard. And so her new batch of puppies probably caught it from that, and then
She didn't have any dogs that died of parvo before then.
They were perfectly healthy before that.
the last
No.
batch
So we
that she
can
had-
verify that the puppies.
Yes.
Okay. No, but I can follow up on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's pretty contagious,
Yes.
right? Among dogs, like
Yeah. They have to be
Uh,
quarantined.
And it's
If
not
you-
good for
Yeah,
puppies.
inoculated
right,
soil.
right. So
And usually it's just puppies.
Well, no, all dogs. It's
Yeah.
more
But it's more deadly for puppies.
more
is the
deadly
issue.
for older
Puppies.
dogs too.
right. Which
But it
was
is
with a lot of
highly
older dogs.
contagious.
But-
too,
I just wanted to make you
$2 off.
aware that there were some.
That is definitely something. I don't know. Should we maybe warn dog owners in town to keep an eye on their dogs?
Anybody should know to get their dog vaccinations for parvo. I mean, you can go to the vet and buy it for a couple bucks and
Yeah.
do it yourself. I did it to several puppies.
Okay.
It's really
Anybody who has puppies should have them their first shot of parvo and
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is that like
Yeah.
rabies? Like you have to wait till they're 6 months, or is parvo something you
No,
can
it's a
do?
early
Parvo, you
shot.
can give them like 2 weeks old, I
Yeah,
think.
it's an early
Okay.
shot.
Very young,
Okay.
real simple to administer. I've done it many times.
So
So,
definitely
I
something
will
we
not
probably
give it
should not
either.
have run
Yes.
into as an issue.
Well, even though our dogs don't, get out of our fenced yard, well,
Yeah.
except the-
Well, but if the dogs come to the fence or they're, you know what I mean? It could become an issue. if
but
it's-
they're vaccinated, but
Do
I'm
you
gonna,
remember about 2 months ago, there was a German Shepherd that was going around having diarrhea stools and they put it on the hotel yard?
Oh, I remember because
Yeah,
I
and
looked
I
for that
think that
quite a
dog-
bit. So yeah,
Yeah.
I remember him.
Sisters all over
Put it
that
on the
area.
expert
So
fly.
probably that ground is contaminated.
So she was gonna.
It could
What are we
be.
talking about?
It could be.
Yeah, that's just.
She's got two of your red German
Yeah.
shepherds who are all
Okay,
black.
all right.
So
She's
All
not
right,
gonna play
so-
around.
So where are you at on your report now?
we were just talking about the dog out here, and are
And
we
then you're
gonna
gonna check. with
Well, I'm gonna
Auburn.
check with Auburn.
Yeah.
If that is the case.
Yeah, wasn't there an individual a couple of weeks ago that was interested in adopting that dog?
We had a lead on the people that found it said that they might know somebody that was
That
interested
didn't
in
pan
that.
out. Okay. It's a pretty dog.
He is, and he's so sweet. So if you guys know anybody that's looking for a pit bull bulldog mix, I call him Meatball, and he is the most adorable little thing. He loves butt scratches
And
and
it's legal to have
playing.
him in Eskridge.
Yeah. Somebody decided they didn't want him, so.
All right.
But yeah, that's all I've got. Unless you guys have anything for me.
No, thank you,
All
Ashley.
right, you're welcome.
I just wonder.
Okay, Robin Baker.
Yes, sir,
Lake-
yes, sir, here I am.
Lake Public Officer.
Yes.
Your report,
Gonna go
please.
stand on that
How
side.
is everyone? Good, good. Yeah, 269 Ponderosa. The dog transfer. I just had enough to please check on it.
What address?
269 Ponderosa.
All right.
Are they
Are those folks here tonight?
That's a no. New city business.
Okay.
It's showing up on my,
Yeah, it's mine too, the same
or
way.
if we can do it, just,
you want to do it or?
that's fine.
Anyway, they currently pay for one standard dog. And I would question that only because the last page of pictures you guys have, it shows where the ladder will extend off, making it larger, the bench, and then this dog. I think she had a note when she got it. Something put in the measurement of the dog case I have. So that's considered a walkway. It is over 4 foot.
It would be.
But I think they,
Ladder's the only thing that's your shoes.
the ladder and then just the extension off
walkway,
the
then.
bench right there, Tim.
Oh, I see.
And then unfortunately, I thought I should have picked a better picture of the patio, which is, if you look, my picture, you find some lawn chairs down there. It's like they have the stairs going down. But there is a patio down in there that measures 9 foot. 9 foot by 6 foot. So, I don't know.
Is that the
That
issue
would be
that
a-
sticks out like, yay farm, whatever the.
Yes. It's like this, keeping it stable in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of nitpicky, in my opinion.
And the ladder as well, Justin.
Yeah. So,
Just continue to pay the standard dog fee.
I think the walkway should be put down to 4 foot because we've made other people do it.
Mhm.
as
Is that
far
ladder,
as-
is that ladder permanently attached?
just coming
No,
off the
they could
stairs
take
where
it
they
off.
squared it off there, is that what you're talking about, or the
Mhm.
triangle? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's a couple of feet, but
And then the only other thing
The
is.
ladder's removable.
Yeah. they could take it off.
Because the ladder is the one thing that we usually, as long as it's been able to be
retracted.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get hung up on something that allows people to climb back up out of the water.
Right, yeah,
Diving board is one thing, but a ladder to get your ass out, back out of the water.
yeah, that's
I'm
not,
not
A
doing that.
necessity.
we don't wanna.
I mean, it seems as though
Well,
maybe they've got
It
the
wouldn't be any different than a
Yeah.
diving board. You retract the diving board when you're no longer using it.
concrete.
My
You're-
point
They
is the
did.
ladder is a safety
So
issue.
Yeah,
when
so
they
it's-
replaced
Yeah, and when you
these,
get done with
they
the
had
spinning,
old
retract the
concrete
ladder.
that was broken up,
So it's a diving board.
and they just, some of the new steps were replaced.
There's
with
risk
that.
of.
I don't know why we would require retraction of the ladder, because to me, the safety issue is that if you fell in, it's no longer in the water for you to
Yeah.
get back out of the water. And say your child falls in and you're trying to get them back
Sure.
up. That's a risk to me,
Sure.
That's what I think.
that I wouldn't wanna take the ladder out of the water at all.
I agree with that.
So if they don't want a retractable ladder, I don't see why we would make that. That's,
But
I
we just
feel
look
the
at
same, I
fishing
feel the
rod and
same.
just
I
let
get the
ladder-
footprint, but that's a different story. This is not a fun toy. This is
Other
a
people have built
safety
theirs
issue.
in. to their
That would be cool. I don't know. They could do that. I don't even know what we're on right now. I'm sorry. I stepped out while we were, yeah.
It's okay.
Go to the last page.
We all agree on that. because
I know the ladder, yeah. This,
Okay.
My concern is being consistent, you know, I don't,
yes.
it's very important, so.
Yeah.
I
The
don't
ladder
know
has always
that.
been something that we've been leaning on, so. The one thing, actually.
Yep.
So,
So that's not a concern, we're good there, and what about the patio?
if the patio's there and it's patio bricks,
Yeah, or-
then that is an
and
added. structure.
I think if they wanted to, if they wanted to, they could probably. No, I thought they had a good picture of it, but I don't, I really don't. The
The red chairs
chairs
are
are
on.
on it.
Oh, okay.
So it just
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense
I'm
now.
picking up on what you're
Okay.
doing.
Sorry about that.
It's covered up with leaves.
You didn't want to rip the leaves off and take a picture?
Yeah.
They would have liked that probably.
Yeah, if there's another
Well, if
structure
the
there,
city
then
wants
that's.
to get me a blower, that.
Is there
I
a,
didn't need one.
This is just for the transfer, right? Not for
is there an
Yeah.
opening on that walkway, the handrail? Is there an opening for people to walk through?
Yeah.
Actually, no.
There's a patio on city property.
That guy-
We should be charging a structure fee for it. I mean, that's, so.
And the breezeway that you're talking about, Tim, when it was built, we didn't have a public officer in that time, and nobody went back out there to check it to make sure that it did have the breezeway, and so it never has had one since it was built.
But how long has it been built?
A few years.
Only?
They've only owned that property for a few years. It's the Romigs. I don't know if you guys remember them. They gave us a piece of pie.
I still have that ticket in my backseat. I didn't know who it came from.
I mean, you could almost go under those stairs though at one point. I mean, it's not like a person couldn't get through there. But I guess depending on where you want the breezeway to be.
Down, you wanted it halfway up or down by the shoreline?
It's somewhere on our property. I don't care if it's up high or down low.
I just say transfer the dang thing and charge the new owner for the patio. So that's my opinion. In addition to the standard dock that they have now.
I'll second Justin.
Yeah, I guess I'll move that. then. That's-
So the motion is made to approve the dock transfer from Romick to Eaton at 269 Ponderosa and charge the new owner
patio fee, the structure fee.
structure fee for the patio. That motion was made by Justin, seconded by Brett.
Good
Any,
job.
any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed?
I'd
Passes.
like it on record that I'm opposed because there's no walkway through the handrail. Please.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Mary Jane, lake permit.
Hi, guys. Okay, I got some paperwork for y'all. This has to do with Astra. Astra is shutting down. It will no longer be running as of the 30th.
So you get a refund?
Good. Well, hold on. We're going to discuss that. I apologize. That's why I'm here this evening. So this is for all of you guys.
How many years were you on contract?
Well, hold on. I have. Let me get through.
Next year was the last.
Said November
I missed
30th.
information. When did you say they're shutting?
Okay.
Good question.
She's handing out, then she'll tell us.
She already told us.
Yeah.
She already said it. I'm just asking.
Astra changes over to fully become Firefly Reservation. Firefly Reservations is actually part of Astra, but Astra will not be using any. There will be no Astra software whatsoever. It will now be Firefly software. With that being said, we will not be able to use that Astra software that we've been using for the last 2 years. What I have a meeting on Thursday. I did speak to Firefly today. Astra that I spoke with today said that due to them changing over to Firefly, we are no longer in a contract with Astra. They are releasing us from their contract as of the end of our season. So we will no longer be stuck to that. Now, sent us today, and that's what I brought in for you to see. They do not do an actual contract. They will do the $3.50 per booking is what they will charge. And each month, that's all they charge us is each booking fee. That's what we pay them. And then when they book,
I thought I seen on that piece of paper though, Mary Jane, that it said something about a $20 down there in the.
there's not a $20 thing. I don't get the $20 thing from. They use the Bridge Pay as well. The Bridge Pay is who we've been using through Astra for the credit cards, so on and so forth. So those fees that you guys have been paying for the credit cards that run through the Astra system would stay the same. Now, the other part of that is that on the 350, there's that single piece. This is what you get for benefit as far as their software is supposed to help us with the reservations. So we're not going to pay an additional amount each month. There's no monthly fees. Now, the other part of that is that their point of sale software that we've been using to sell permits for, the Firefly system will not be compatible. It will not be available for us to use for selling permits. It will work wonderful for us for the camping reservations, but it is just not compatible for us to sell permits through. That's why I checked into on the the cost wise for us to keep it for just the reservations and the camping part. Now, with that being said, we can do it with turning it over to the customers paying for the reservation fees, which we already do, basically. We charge them the $3.50 when they book for their reservation. We charge them for that $3.50 booking fee. And then we also charge them the $3.50 cancellation fee. We also charge them the cancellation fee that you guys get when they cancel, the $10 fee. We also do the holiday special fee that they get charged for canceling to close to the holidays, that type of thing. All of that can transfer over to the Firefly system. No problem. We already have all of that in the system. They can move all of that over on the camping. We don't have to do anything different. I do all of that on Thursday, but I just need to come to you guys discuss it, get approval to move forward. I don't want to set everything up without approval from you guys.
So if we go through this Firefly for the camping, what are we gonna do about the boating?
Now, the boating and the permits, we'd have to go back to a different route. We'd have to go back to, I think maybe like we did the first time with the receipts and the square. Or, I mean, there's pretty much, it just is not set up like Astra was, where we could do it. Their POS is set up that their camping, if they purchase something, it goes to whoever has the reservation. It goes directly to them. It does not go where we can pick and add somebody that does not have a reservation.
So if there's no contract with this and
We
we
don't
tell
have
you
to
to
keep
go
it.
ahead and get the ball rolling, we can change our mind.
Yes, we can actually, and it
December.
says we can end at any time on that.
But you said it was like part of Astra before, or like one is related to the other.
This,
pretty
yes.
much? Is it like
Yes,
rebranding?
actually what it is that
essentially?
Astra, it's somebody from Astra actually made this software and it's just been building up and
Okay.
they just made better.
Okay.
So this is just their new.
But they cut
now-
out the functionality that we liked for the permits.
Correct.
So they.
But this is what other,
It's the same thing, only less.
but this is what other this is what other campgrounds have put in, that this is what they love.
Yeah.
Well, we're such a different type of campground and smaller, and we don't rent our boats, we don't rent our so on and so forth. So we don't, it's not the same as what they run their POS system for. But it just is a little, it's just different. So there are things that they can do different with their new system that we just aren't compatible with on the POS system.
To be fair, Astra didn't really do the permit sales very well either. Like they admitted that it wasn't. I mean, they did. We did have a reservation system that was online, so that was.
And the reservation system worked wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
it was nice to
So
be
I mean, the
able.
permit was the
Yeah,
push.
right.
Like they told us in the sales mode that it would work, and then it didn't work as well as we wanted it to. Like we couldn't pull.
But
up
we did
reports,
make it work.
But you guys figured it out.
We did make that
So
work.
yeah, like
But there is,
if you guys
there's
have
just
a choice,
no.
do you want to continue with this?
I would love to continue with the
Okay.
reservation side.
I want to ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
This one paper says you have planned add-ons. Have you looked into those planned add-ons and what are they?
It didn't show any. I actually went and looked and I printed off what was on the next page when I hit the plan ride-ons.
It
That's,
says optional features which you can subscribe to. So I'm just looking for the optional features to see if something wouldn't fall into the category that we could use for that. And I'm not seeing any of
Yes, that's something they'll probably start building on later down the road.
no, that was this. That's what this was.
Oh.
When I clicked on it, that's what this
that's what
was.
came up.
Yes.
They don't
So-
know what their add-ons are.
Yeah.
Now, Matt Walsh is the person you've been talking to.
Yes. And he's the one I have a meeting with on Thursday morning.
When you see him Thursday morning, ask him about the add-ons, if there's gonna be something coming down the pike that you're not seeing.
And I will.
Yeah.
And that's who I asked about if there is a monthly fee, if there is a yearly fee, because I knew you guys were contracted under Astra.
Right.
So I asked that prior because
I'd
I
like to
needed that
try to keep
information
it
for
as simple
tonight.
as possible so we don't have several different programs running through to get stuff done.
And that's what I was trying to do.
Okay.
So, but I wanted to make sure where I was before I came in so that I could have it set before I go to them and say, yes, let's start transferring everything over. It will not take effect us using it until April 1st. Now, bookyoursite.com will be done.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was the
None of that is in,
Reserve America and Book Your Site? Was that were we not?
all of it will be gone.
Okay, that's what I was. Gonna
All of it will be gone. As of April 1st, it will turn us over
Mhm.
To fireflyreservations.com.
Okay, so they do have a website though.
Mhm.
That people can go to. Okay.
Yes. So that will all move over
It's supposed to be November 30th, but we will be closed.
Right.
So once we open up, then it will change that and roll over at that time.
But
Yeah.
is it gonna be like last year where it's only as good as your internet service?
Well,
That's, I'm just
and
wondering.
that's yes, it will be. But there are a few things that I did see that I have spoke to them about, and they are going to look at trying to change a little bit and tweak for us before April. That I had some concerns on.
Mm-hmm.
So they are willing to work on a few things on the reservation side that I did notice.
Cool.
So they are willing to work on some of that with us. We can. One of the things I brought up was about that one issue we had last year.
Mhm.
And what they did say is that we can put a block on that they have to manually call in and schedule for that. So, I mean, that's something you guys will have to set up and decide, and we'd have to figure out before we would go live and decide what you guys wanted to do. Now, the other part of that is that I would also want to see about setting up a different email for the reservation part of that, because it's set up that it's supposed to go to the city clerk. We do not get notifications on it. So we're not getting notified on emails. We've had people contact us, call us, wanting to know why we haven't responded to an email. We're not getting the emails. So I don't know where all they're going, but would you guys have an issue if we set up a separate email account just for the reservation side of that
Not at
for
all.
the lake?
I think I would prefer that.
I mean, I'm checking because I don't want to cause an
Can
issue.
they copy the clerk, or is that
We
just like
can do
one?
that.
Yeah,
But
that would
I,
be preferable, but I mean, if they need to deal with that address, yeah, that's a great idea.
because I mean, I've had where I send out refunds for the deposits and so on. If somebody's not getting it
Where's it going?
right and they're trying to contact me, then I'm not getting the notifications.
I'm good with the separate email address. That's not,
good. You
shouldn't be a
might
problem.
consider doing a real generic, like
Well, and I'm
Muncie
going
campaign
to.
or something.
Right. It's just going
Not
to be
even
like
a long
Lake
one.
Wabaunsee.
Okay, so that way
keeping-
it's not something you have to close
Right.
down if you guys decide to stop doing it. sometime.
Right. Yes.
So
So this Thursday, you're meeting with them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you prepare a report for September 11th and update us on information for that? And
Yes.
Where I'm going with this is that once we decide what we're going to do, we need to get the public informed of that as soon as possible. So we're not waiting until April to do it.
Oh no, we would have all that
Yes,
ready
yes.
before. Yes. I just
Okay.
need approval that yes, you guys want me to go ahead and keep going, and
I'd
that
like
you
you
want
to
to
keep going on
use
with the discussion.
you
so
want
we
to
can
use
see what we can do
Firefly for the reservations.
I think she's asking for us to give her the go ahead if
to
she's
continue looking
Yeah.
for it.
continue
So,
Yeah,
using
Because
Firefly.
they need permission so that they can move forward to build our campground.
Yeah.
Put
Right,
stuff in.
Right.
I move to give Mary Julie permission to talk with Firefly and continue.
sure, second.
For the reservation side.
Right.
And hopefully they can come up with some add-on possibilities that we can do with the other stuff on there that we need.
Well, if nothing
Okay.
else, I mean, we can do the books the way we were doing them with the receipt book and then just turn in the yellow copies of the receipt every week. Because Mary Jane writes it down in another book, so we'll have a copy of it. The customer would have a copy of it. You'd have a copy of it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to allow Mary Jane and Julie to continue with Firefly.
Yeah, I second it all.
And seconded, the motion is made by Brett, seconded by Justin. Is there any further discussion on this? Those in favor? Okay, Mary Jane, it passes 5-0.
Thank you. And the other thing I had was LF6. That is not an actual site.
Is there a way, how do you guys want us to put that? It's not a 30 amp. You guys have it down as a site through Astra.
Oops, try me. I did all that mapping, so if there's a mistake, it was on me.
It's only a 15 amp, well, it's 20, but
I would have known that.
we only wanted to put in 15 amps because if you put in a camper and they put in, it blows it.
Yeah, you
We,
want it.
we understand the problem that always happens. Is there a way that we can change the definition of what they get at site 6? I'd still like to be able to rent it out because I know some people absolutely love being up there under the trees.
Now that's the thing. I want to have a different classification for
Right.
it.
Yeah.
As maybe a tent with electric type classification because they can plug in with like an extension cord, plug in fans, plug in their little cook stoves, whatever. But they're not going to be able to run a camper with air conditioning and so
Is
on
a
and so
campsite
forth.
for a tent or is it for a camper?
It's a camper
It's-
site.
But
a
it's
camper.
not. But it's
110
not a
plug-in.
well. But it's
It
only a
has-
110 plug-in.
It has the gravel drive. It's got a beautiful.
Is this the long
Everything
line?
is
or
perfect
is it
for a
on the-
camper.
It's on the bath.
except
It's
for the
where the
power
bathroom
supply.
is.
Okay.
Now, weren't
Oh,
we
I see.
talking just recently about converting all the campsites out there that have the
Well, yeah.
20 amps? Weren't we talking
No, those
about,
are 30s. The others are 30s.
okay, we have 20 amp and 30 amps out there.
No.
do we
30
not?
and 50.
30
No,
and 30 and
30 and
50.
50s.
Okay, my bad. All right. So at one time we were talking about converting all the 30 amps to 50.
But we
Right,
have to
but
do
it's
good
not a
trenches
30
and all
amp.
that.
Well, we were talking about it where we didn't say we were going to do it, but if we're going to make changes, we need to allow for that and come up with the money to do that because we have complaints every year that there's not enough 50 amp camping spots. And if they're all 50 amp, then somebody that needs a 30 amp can use it with no problem.
Yeah, but all the
Those
30 amp
complaints are
campers
only
don't
3
always fit
weekends
in.
out of the year.
What's that,
The
Julie?
50 amp campers don't fit in the 30 amp sites.
Correct.
Now,
Yeah, but there's 30 amp campers that fit in there that would use more than 30 amps if they had the ability, would they
So-
not?
Changes aside, just to clarify,
No.
you're
the
just asking
LF6,
for that one to be classified as a 15 amp. Is that-
it, and I have put in Astra that it's a 15 amp, but for some reason, it still allows them to put in a 30 amp camp. I mean, a camper, blah, blah, blah. So I need to,
Pop-ups are okay there.
it needs to be changed on
Yeah.
its lettering and so on and so forth. So to make
Do
it
you need
not
the
be,
map changed?
yes.
I can do that. I can
So,
change it because what I
When
just
when
basically, and they should actually do it.
when I
for
talk,
you.
when I do it
Yeah.
on Thursday, that's what I'm
'Cause I
wanting
gave 'em a
permission to change.
basic map, yeah, absolutely. Change it to whatever's correct, and if we have to change it in the future, we will. That's not a big deal.
Because we can't do a 20 amp or a 30 amp thingy because that's where the breaker box is for that whole side of the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to him and have him change it over, and then restrict because there's got to be somewhere that they're just able to still access whatever. But that's on their end, so they'll have to switch it for you.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely change it to whatever's correct. That might have been me. I don't know.
Because it is nice to use for, because some people do utilize it for tents and plug in to run fans. And I think we had a group out there one night that had a birthday party and they plugged in fans. So
You don't
I-
have any
there-
problems when people plug in a pop-up camper there though, do you?
as long as they're not over
No.
15, 20 amps, I mean, that's the issue. They cannot go above 15 to 20 amp. And some people like to go above, and so then they blow it.
We just can run pluggers and it was okay. But then a regular 30 amp camper comes in, tries to switch it over.
Right, it will blow it.
It usually doesn't work.
So that's why I'm definitely going to put it down that it's a 15 amp, even though it does have a 20 amp in it. So that way, if we go below, they're not going to blow it. Because if we're not there overnight, there's no way to reset that.
And just so that I get this off my chest, if we're gonna consider changing power, let's run a damn water line at the same time. I don't know why it didn't happen before. We need to make
That's
sure.
not up to me. That's up to you guys.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
like
understand
that
what you're
reason why
saying,
we
yeah.
didn't do it, but if you wanna talk
Okay.
about that.
Any other issues at the permit office that needs to be addressed?
Not on my end.
Julie?
Oh, I don't.
Are your lights and everything working outside?
No, they are not. Thank you very much.
No, but I called Mike yesterday on Sunday, and because it was just so hot last week, I wasn't gonna call him. I called Mike and I told him that my lights weren't working, and he said he'd get out there.
Okay.
Is that for
I have reported it.
the pole too? That
No, it's just for the lights around the, because they're not working in the shower or on the beach or in the front.
And you had
And
asked me
we're
about Michael
in this
looking at
building
that
too.
light.
We have ones
did
out.
you
With
ask
the
Mike
light, it's
about
the feed.
checking into the front of it being a motion
Is
light?
what you
That
have
way,
outlet at the bottom
the
of the pole.
bugs and
I did them all
It just
back,
needs to
but
be
they didn't.
done correctly. And he
We
can do
also had somebody hit the gate again. So it apparently trouble shutting again. So
that. Do you ever
within-
see the people hit that?
Yeah, I didn't see them.
we didn't see him hit this time. If we had the security
had
cameras
somebody-
working,
If
then we
had
could have
somebody
gone
come
back
out
and looked.
Move those
Can
screws
we just,
from
we're not
here.
fixing the cameras at this point, right? Have we?
We can't fix them.
Are they
You have to
are they
get new
IP
software.
cameras? Where you can just plug and play like a different IP camera in
You're
there?
speaking to the wrong person.
Does it have
They
a
operate.
little bit wider than phone jack
I haven't even been out there. Do you guys know?
plug into?
The cameras work just fine. We don't know how to get in to see anything.
Oh, okay.
It has an email address.
We don't have a password.
Right,
system.
there's an
Okay.
email address that's associated. We can't get into it because nobody knows who.
Does it have like a master reset button or anything like on the back of it? Or?
We didn't
That I've been in contact with the
That
company.
master
We
reset
can't
button
reset it.
Yeah, I didn't do any good.
How many cameras do you?
There's 4.
And that's enough, or do you need more?
It would be nice to have a couple more because we could see the beach a little better.
Now, you've been in contact with a company, you say,
The company
so-
that actually has the software that is
Right.
running on it.
that they're not the ones that put out the cameras.
No, it might be,
Okay,
but
would
the
you-
software.
Would you ask them if they are, and if they are, ask them if they'd swap it out, make a trade.
They won't do anything because we don't have the email account. Whoever originally purchased it
Okay.
and set it
Alright.
up
So
has
we
the
have to
original email.
purchase all new.
We'd have to get all new stuff. That's our problem.
wasn't Dave Dunbar the one that?
Well, we've
Dave
been in
or-
contact and Dave Dunbar says that he doesn't have anything and that it wasn't him.
What Deb say?
Deb said it wasn't her.
So did it work for
Dave.
her?
It was Dave.
Oh, I haven't
She never
enough
used-
with it. We can get a new system for like $250.
Well, whatever
That's what
we
I
do,
would
we're gonna
say.
have more than
And you
one
can
access to get to it.
Even if it was Dave,
fine.
it's old enough, it should be replaced anyway.
Miss Prime Day.
We don't.
I mean, can we? Are you guys up for buying that right now? Or authorized?
Let's
It definitely will be.
Let's do it at
I
the
mean,
budget.
Can we do it for the next?
But
Okay,
next
yeah,
season?
yeah, next season. Obviously, we're at the end. Sorry. Brain's
we
not
get
in
it.
We
the
can get wireless
Get
ones,
it
and
in
hopefully
January,
it'll reach
February.
from the bathroom, and you can put a camera on that damn trash.
Oh, that
But,
was. I
yes,
didn't know
it's
where
on
you
my
were going
boathouse.
with that. It was.
That camera, the camera,
I was like on the bathroom too.
that camera would already point towards the trash. anyway.
See where both
Really?
did it.
Just record it.
Definitely for next season, please.
Sounds great. It's a cheap fix, honestly. Easy cheap fix. I think we need to just do it.
But yes,
I'd like
the
it
gate
down
has
in
been
the
hit
park,
3 times this
but
year so
Wi-Fi.
far at least. So it just, it keeps crinkling that pole.
Do you need the retractable gate next year? The one with
That's
the-
not in the
Move
budget
on
this
to-
year.
It's something to discuss and when we talk about next year's
How much
budget.
will it cost to fix some retractor gate after it gets hit?
Next year's budget, we already passed it, did we not?
No, we didn't. We passed what we were authorized by the county or state, wherever that comes from.
We left that in that dust.
But we haven't discussed how we're gonna break it down.
We have them on here. They're further down.
There is the issue of the sink still at the bait shop. It's still running
Oh
full
my
force
gosh.
with hot water, which is constantly making the hot water heater keep up hot water to be running out constantly.
Julie, was that
And it's a
fixed?
steady drip.
She's gone.
They already left?
No, it's not fixed. And it's not dripping. It's a stream fatter than my tin of
Yes.
hot water nonstop.
And that's been running for 2 years.
Can we just turn the hot water off for now? Is it a sink? It's a sink. Hand washing
I
sink.
would think that you
It's-
can.
There is not a
There's no
shut off
shut-off.
valve to that sink
Correct.
on the hot water.
The only way is to go all the way out and around and turn the hot water
That's
on
wild.
the water heater
Okay.
Yeah, all we need is a damn shut off valve on it, something.
That would be
Somebody spend
convenient.
power on it, fix it.
I think it was set that they were going to wait till the end of the season and when the bait shop closed to fix it. But I actually think that we should fix it now because, like I said, it's still constantly running.
If your
The
if
water
your
meter.
if your hot water was running the way that is at the permit office at your house, you wouldn't wait till November, December to get it
I
fixed.
I wouldn't wait
either.
till tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys are paying for, I mean, if it's gas, you're paying constantly on the gas to be running to keep it,
It's not,
keep it
it's
going.
electric.
Or electric, right.
So we're
So-
from West Star.
We constantly have hot water for the shower.
And
Yeah.
have either you or Julie, do you know, spoke to Mike that water was still running like that?
We have mentioned it, yes.
How recently, can I ask?
I don't know when Julie last mentioned it, but I do know that when Jim came and fixed it, Jim said he did not know how long the fix would last because the washer he put in or rubber thing he put in,
She's got it on the.
he did not know how long it would
want it.
make it, but he did at that time state
It's just my own
that
research.
they were going to come in at the end of the season after we closed and they were going to replace the sink and put in some shut off valves at that time. So I
But did he stopped it from leaking at that point when he was out there
but it
that
only
first
stopped
time?
it for a day or two.
Okay, but then
24
after a day or
hours.
two, was he notified that it was leaking again? That's my question.
I did not, but that should have been Julie that
My
notified them.
research.
And
I'll tell
and
you
she
that.
needs to
I'll
notify
explain.
Mike anyway.
I think she did. I just don't know when.
Okay.
She should have notified him and told him.
Mhm.
I just don't know when she did.
Okay, all right. Anything else, Mary Jane? Okay,
I don't think of anything right now.
all right, well, thank you very much. All right, next thing, I'm gonna skip something for a split second. But under continuing council business, it talked about permit office and security cameras. Are we gonna, hold that off? We're not gonna talk about that any further tonight, are we?
I don't think
Correct.
so. We can
Because
vote on
we're-
it later.
Yeah, we're gonna look at, I just wanted her to know what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Next thing, next thing up is employee payroll. Annie, you're the one that asked to put it on here.
I did ask to put it on here. I did do some research and I tried to call as many towns locally that I could think of or that were similar in size. I ran into a lot of people don't have gas or run gas like we do. So that does hit us a little bit, but just to explain it, I guess. I did do just Google searches for utility superintendent and water operator. So those are those, average annual salaries right there that show what the internet says. I know that doesn't always help us, but it's out there. And then when you jump down to the much longer part that says local, we're the top line, obviously. What do I think? So Alta Vista is similar in size, but I don't know if they do water. I forgot to ask Mike too. He was supposed to be here tonight, but he had family stuff come up, so he couldn't make it.
They do water.
They do water. Thank you. You know everything over there. Maybe I'll just have you do. The next one's Alma. Obviously, they're about twice our size, and they do have 8 full-time staff. That does include their clerk and treasurer, I believe. And I just went down the line and asked. So, their superintendent makes $30 an hour, and then they're a little harder to, like she said, they don't assign jobs like we do. Everybody's trained on everything, basically. She said their highest paid employee is $29 an hour, and because also he's a lineman, so he's able to work on their electrical. And then lowest is at 20. I did find it really interesting because she told me herself for the clerk position, she was doing, this is obviously not for the maintenance guys right now, sorry, but I'm gonna throw it in. She's doing like clerking school. I didn't know that was a thing, but there's 4 years of that. Each year that she does, she gets another $1 added to her income on top of her yearly raise. And then there's like a 5th year that they finish out. They also have an assistant super, which makes $25 an hour. Maple Hill's kind of weird, and I think we've talked about it. They just have a really strange setup all around.
Yeah, they
Tom's
just,
nodding over
they
here.
changed
I
that
have no idea.
at the beginning of 2023. Maple Hill changed it to this right here.
Okay,
Beginning.
they do have a very strange setup, and it so they actually went to council, and I believe what it is that she's retirement age, and he might be also, but don't quote me because she didn't say.
Their annual salary, by the way, and it makes them responsible for paying for their own benefits and insurance.
Well, they don't have to because she's basically she said I hit Medicare age and went back to council, and so neither one of them needed benefits anymore, so they just asked to absorb their benefit pay into their salary.
So, right.
So they do have a higher salary because of that. Again, Maple Hill doesn't do gas, and she said something about checking the wells. So I don't know if their water system is a little different than ours. I mean, they have like 5 part-time officers, and they have other stuff going on that's very different from our town. But their setup's all different too. So Scranton, I found, was kind of close, maybe a little higher population, but they seem similar.
They aren't.
They aren't at all. Just kidding.
Because they got their own
They've got an
electrical.
electric, you know.
Oh, they have electrical.
Their city superintendent has to be.
So I didn't get a lot of
So
information.
Alma has their own electric too, right?
Yep.
Because they only have one bill that's sent out. They don't have 2 bills. So Alma has their own electric as well.
Yeah.
They do.
Electric, gas, water. Yeah, all their
The
utilities.
heel of Evergy.
We don't care. We'll sell them the power. They can do what they want.
We're all just gonna get solar panels. That's no. There's a lot, as you can see. There's 2 full-time, 1 part-time. The big difference is that they don't do gas. They don't sell gas. Let me think of what else there was.
But they do sell electric.
Not necessarily. No.
Well, they-
These are very. No, they don't have very much at all. Most of these towns. Not the big
The only
ones.
one
of
I know
course.
is Scranton. This actually involved in electrical.
Electric. Okay. I don't think the rest do, except maybe Alma.
Yes. Omega, I think we served.
I'm trying to think.
Find out real quick.
Omega and Kannapolis are obviously they are further away, but similar enough in size. So you guys can see the wage range there.
Yeah, we served Omega.
Probably should have grabbed Alma.
Did you happen to ask
Auburn.
like what their
I meant to grab Auburn and Osage so that we could
Auburn's
get a
got
guess.
their own
Yeah.
municipal.
what their insurance policies are, like how much they pay per employee?
That I didn't get. I mean, I was lucky to get what I was getting, but
I would
But
like to know that.
I think
'cause ours
that
is pretty
unless I said they
damn
didn't
good.
have benefits, they have benefits and capers, all of them.
Who does?
Unless I said they didn't, which is Maple Hill. They were the only ones. She said, well, first I'm going to tell you we don't have benefits, but this is why, and it's in the salary. The rest do provide benefits for full-time employees and capers.
But they didn't say what those amounts were. Capers is probably the statewide same
I think
all
it's
around.
the same. Yeah, capers is the same, but
But the
benefits, I don't know.
Insurance company would decide the difference if there was one.
Right.
You'd almost think that the cities would form a co-op and get the group insurance better in that respect, but
It would be
God said,
nice to
Doesn't
find a way
matter.
to work together. And
Doesn't matter.
Guaranteed issue, baby. It's all the same.
What was the exact number again for our employees for insurance?
It depends on what they're getting. If they're getting it just for themselves, it's
I'm
less.
talking the family plan, so like the
Family
employee
plan.
and the family plan, like what does the city pay for that per employee?
I'm gonna say it's around 11,600.
Well, that's what it was before the increase. Because there was a huge increase this year. Percentage rate increase.
Mhm.
And the 11,000 was what we were paying the prior year, and that bumped it up a couple more thousand. So I think it's more like 14.
Well, I want to know for sure before we think what it is.
Well, right. And like these here too, like I know we have really good health insurance, so I'd like to know what some of these towns have, because comparable, if they don't have good insurance at all, but they're paying their employees more an hour, then it's kind of a wash to me, the same. You know what I mean? Like they may get more hourly, but they may only pay $3,000 a year for health insurance versus us paying 14 and a couple dollars less. Like, I think it's kind of, I mean, I don't know.
It'd be nice to compare apples to apples.
Correct.
I do,
I mean, I think
I
you
do like
can't
this
get the
sheet
full
that you made,
picture of
Randy.
it with these numbers if you don't have that piece.
I
of
do
it.
like this a lot.
I can do more research, but to be honest, I don't think it's gonna look good in our. I mean, there's only one that wasn't up to what the rest are.
Well, and even like, of course, you know, Maple Hill, they were kind of innovative that they were able to do this and to with their
They voluntarily signed up for that. That's a
and
little.
I mean,
different.
somebody, you know, probably asked and all that, but
I think they actually asked for it. So at the end of the day, like they went back in, but
But
technically the city's not saving that money anyway. They just absorbed it into their salary.
They're not to paying any increase every year is what they're saving. So like
They pay a
if it
raise
went up
increase.
3,000 for our employees this year, they wouldn't be on the hook for that 3,000 increase maybe every year. So in
Till
3
they get
years,
new
they could be
employees.
saving $9,000.
Who may not have the same
well, and
feelings.
are we getting the right plan for our employees
I
in
think
the
he's
sense
talking about
that, you know, well, like, you know, with the employees, you know, we could maybe go cheaper on that if it's something they wanted, if they wanted the reduced coverage and then go more and then put that money into the pay column. You know, if they wanted to, you know, not everybody needs, you know, gold-plated health insurance, but I'm not trying to
No,
call
you're
it
good.
that or characterize it. I mean, you know, but
You're trying to
I'm
think
just
outside the box.
yeah, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes you're just, you know, throwing money into a pit because you know you're not going to necessarily need that insurance or not a high chance of using it. So I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm not.
I guess on my own perspective without paying family insurance for 2 decades, whatever, I went from, you know, pre-Obamacare where my premium was reasonable, my, what's the word when you deductible, my deductible was reasonable. Post-Obamacare, we were paying basically half a paycheck for just the premium. Thank you. My brain is off. It's off.
Feed her the words, let her tell the story.
With the worst deductible I've ever had in my life, and it took us years to dig out of that hole. Years.
Affordable Care Act.
It was awful.
Here's your PS.
So I mean, sometimes getting worse insurance costs more, and it doesn't help anybody. So that's my.
I would venture to say that the employees wouldn't want to give up the insurance that they have. I mean, all their spouses work at the school and they left this insurance at the school to be on the city's insurance. So I think it's highly sought after. And I think that is the main reason why we keep employees and is the incentive to work for us is that we have such great health insurance that it keeps them here.
Yeah.
I mean, I would venture to say that's the only reason why some of them are here. So, because it's, I mean, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And we had one last year that was just a single policy and then bumped up a family policy, which I mean was a $10,000 difference for us.
That we weren't aware of until 3 or 4 months after they took effect.
But it's totally in our handbook that they could.
I understand
We
that. I'm
offer
not
that to
arguing
them,
that at
but-
all. I'm just saying we weren't prepared for
That
it.
was a $10,000 jump in 1 year's time like that.
I'm all for giving our employees all a very fair, competitive wage, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I want to make sure that we have money coming in, which is the next issue that's on here. I think those are in the wrong order, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Thought that too.
We need to bring the revenue in before we decide how to spend the revenue.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, I'm open to it too. And this shows that we're.
I move that
We're-
Jerry
we're a
Hart
follower
take care
of
of all the
our
expenses for the employees for the next 4 years.
Jerry, you all right with that?
I
He's
regretfully
speechless.
say that I don't think I can handle that.
All right. But Tim, you got a point. We should probably look at the revenue before we look at the other. I personally think we got the money right now to give them some kind of a raise. Even if it's something simple, even if it's $1 an hour, we've got the money because we haven't had
Third employee for.
a third employee. Actually, we haven't had a clerk or a third employee for 5 to 8 months. So those 5 to 8 months, we haven't been paying insurance on,
I mean, I'd be
or
down to give
or
them
Capers benefits even.
some type of raise. I would also like assurance that they're gonna follow the handbook that we just passed. With the raise increase, that they'll follow it exactly the way that it is.
The way you guys approved it.
The way that everybody approved it.
Mhm.
Like no leniences. I mean, we approved it the way that it is. So if we're going to be giving a raise, I'd like them to follow it to a T. I mean, that's why we passed it. I don't know if anybody else feels like that.
Well, we sat
That's
here
what it's
long enough
there
and
for.
discussed it for long enough. Must have meant something.
All right. So, do you want to hold off on a decision for the moment on employee payroll and go to the next item in line and then come back to the payroll if necessary?
That's fine.
Well, I think the next line is water and gas, right? Which was slowly being talked about for the employee raises.
Time out. Can I throw something in here? Ashley's been waiting patiently for this whole long, boring meeting, and I doubt her issue is going to take very long. Am I right?
Come on up.
Can we knock her out of here and let her go home?
She don't look like she's sleepy yet. Okay. Okay.
Right.
All right.
That's
Come
what
on.
I was
Come on
thinking
up,
about.
Ashley. Just
You're hiding, but I couldn't see you back there. I would've
Step right up, young
suggested
lady.
too.
I was just coming back to see if anybody came down to, there was a couple of you guys that came down to check the water issue coming down the alley. So I was just coming back to kind of see.
Well, I know two of us gave you a thought on
Right.
a solution. Did the others that went out and looked at it give you any
I only
ideas?
spoke to you and
Clay?
Clay, and then Brett came out yesterday.
Okay. And Rich, what is your opinion on a fix?
I actually talked with Ashley and her neighbor, Jason Sims, who's dealt with the water issue for many years because he lives right next to her with the alley there. He said that he had spoke to Mike before and that Mike had said that we don't maintenance alleys or whatever, which I told him, I said, well, we have talked about maintaining alleys. I'm actually the street and alley rep, or was. So we obviously do maintenance alleys to a certain extent. But I think where her driveway is into the side of her house needs to be cut out down a few inches. Because it's when they overlaid the street, they raised it too high. So there's not enough curb for the water to run, which is flooding over the sidewalk and straight down into their house.
There's a tiny curb.
It's
It's
very
gotta
small.
be
Yeah.
really old or
Like,
something.
My hands are small and it's
Yeah,
not even
it's
a full
it was
length of
always
my
been
hand.
so little.
So I do think the solution, or maybe possibly the easiest solution, would be to cut out 3 by 4 inch next to the curb right there and make it lower. And then how Jason explained it is get some of that. It's like Quikrete, but it's for like asphalt, and to smooth it into like a bowl type so that it would have more square footage to run before it started flooding the yard. And because it doesn't only flood hers, it also takes out the alley to make it not usable. And then Jason obviously has been the one that's been maintaining the alley, hauling in gravel and such. So that's my suggestion. When I talked to them, I thought it was a good idea. So
The other thought we had when we were looking at it, and talked to Mike about it later, but when Clay and I were looking at it, we were thinking that maybe something like a speed bump that would go from one end of the alley to the other end of the alley on 2nd Street there. So it'd be, when I say a speed bump, I'm not talking a huge hump, but a hump there where they can get their car and their truck over, their boat or trailer, whatever, without too much trouble. But it would create a curb-like atmosphere at that section, and the water should roll right on past it without
should
having,
is the operative word.
without having to cut into the street.
Then comes in the time for snow removal and stuff. And what are you going to do with that
Well,
speed
they
bump?
shouldn't be going down the speed bump. They shouldn't be going down that alley to remove snow.
Jason removes the snow of the alley because their garage, they have to
And they're both
access
parked
through
on
there.
that,
They have
like-
to access their properties by getting across there. So they have to be able to push their snow.
So he pushes the alley for
That
both
would
of
be
our properties.
hindering and blocking that.
Well, you could always push it towards Ashley's house and not parallel to the street.
Because talking with the two of them, that was brought up as well. But I think this is a more permanent, better solution, is cutting it out and making it how it should be, and the depth that it was before the overlay was put on that created more of a problem than what is there.
Well, Ashley, it looks like we're still discussing possible solutions for you.
Sounds good.
I understand the flooding problem. You know, some people have had it for 23 years
Yeah.
and finally got it dealt with.
Well,
but
and it's been
Oh,
happening for a long time. It's
Yeah.
my grandma had owned that house probably for 30 years. And so it has constantly been like my aunt lived there and she had problems too. She just never made the time to come up. And then when we bought it from my aunt and my mom, we decided once we moved in, we figured out that there was an issue because we were there and we saw it. And from us remodeling the kitchen and stuff, the smell that was there when we first started, it's starting to be that musty smell again, meaning that there is water underneath the house that is constantly coming in every time it rains.
Okay.
Well, like Jason, her neighbor too, had said that he would cut that out. I mean, if it's a problem of getting somebody up there of our own to do it, for whatever reason, he has offered to do it himself. So
Does he have the equipment for that, or does he do that kind of work?
I mean, he said that he could get the equipment, but he just wanted to get the go ahead before he did it so he didn't get in trouble because he's been dealing with this issue for 15 plus years as well.
Why don't
from seeing the problem, I would like to do some action on it within the next month and get the problem.
I'd like to talk to Jason personally and see what he can do and go from there.
Did I miss something? Has Mike been involved in this at all?
Only, as far as I know, only in discussing it with me.
Okay, well, I would like Mike to be aware of what our idea of a fix is. I would think he would know more about it than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly knows more about it than I do. I mean, I don't want us to approve that idea. And Mike go, what the hell do you guys do this for? Don't you know this is going to cause this problem? I mean,
Yeah, I don't see any problem in getting him involved in what we're talking about doing.
I just don't want any unintended consequence out of it. But I'm all for getting the problem taken care of.
Okay.
So can we have her back on the agenda with an answer for her at the next meeting, please?
Sure.
You brought it up last meeting. It hasn't flooded since, has it?
Well, we haven't had any rain.
Oh. Darn it.
It was only 108. I mean,
Here.
Okay, September 11th
Okay. All right. Thank you.
at 9:11 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be all right. I can do that.
Okay, back on the water and gas rate issue. My thought is, and I'm going to pass this by you guys, and you can tell me what you think of it. I don't really care. It's just thinking outside the box, but it's an idea that may or may not work. You may or may not like it. That's up to you to decide anyway. But my thought is that you adjust the water rate. We haven't got an answer back from those people, have we?
So,
Huh? What's his name, Chris?
Chris Klein,
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
he came last week and we met with him and Lisa provided him with a bunch of
Numbers.
reports that he needed. So he said that he would be back in touch with us. He picked it up that he should probably have the information for us in the beginning of September, which is
Okay.
probably later this week or
Will
next week.
you fill the council in and the people that are here on what Chris Klein does?
Oh, gosh.
A bunch of things. I know,
Yes,
okay.
and
In relation to the water rates, okay?
so I'm not qualified to answer that question.
Okay, well, basically, he has all the computer work and
Right.
figures and from all around the state that he
Is
can
this
work
with
with.
KRWA? Is that who Chris is with?
Yes.
Okay. And
And he's going to do the analysis.
he crunch the numbers and he can come back and tell us where we should be today. Not where
Right.
not where we should have been in 2001 and then 2002, 2003, but where we are today. because sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, so it would be appropriate for today.
But we don't have that information.
But we don't have that information.
Right. We should have it very shortly. He
Okay.
took, he
What was
was
his,
in
I'm sorry, what was his name again? Chris Klein?
Chris Klein. Mhm.
So if I
And
may,
he came in, he was in here for a couple of hours going over reports with Lisa especially.
so my thought was, once we get that information, my thought is that we adjust the rates that will cover us for the next 2 years. And then we go 2 additional years following behind before we raise the rates again. So in other words, you get caught up now and it covers you for the next 2 years. And then 2
We have
years,
a cushion.
you have a cushion. In the next 2 years, you're in the hole again, but you make up for it with the raise every 4 years. Pick up your last 2 and go to the next 2.
I like that plan a lot, Terry, but I'm afraid of.
The
what-
council
what he
decides
might-
anyway.
I'm just,
Yeah.
my opinion is, if he says, well, okay, to get to the point that you're talking about, you need to take 4 times what your rate is. That's what.
Well,
I'm
we
saying.
have to wait and see what it is. but-
Exactly.
But
Well,
I,
and what
Yeah,
percentage
I
of the
wouldn't-
increase?
I wouldn't want to do that.
What is the increases going towards? So, the only thing I've heard is employee raises, and I've still yet to hear anything else. So what is it? What percentage of the increase is going to employee raises? What percentage is saving for
future,
water repairs or whatever? I haven't heard anything about water repair, only employee raises.
Right.
So I'm still open
Grant?
to anybody speaking of what else that is going for and what percentage they're thinking.
well, like Tim said, some of that has to go towards infrastructure. Now,
Well-
go ahead.
When we have a grant that we want to apply for, and usually if it's a 50-50 match, we don't have the 50. That can be part of that.
Mhm.
Plus you have to pay for the engineering reports. You know how that game.
This is
Even
the first time
applying for
anything
the
but
grant.
employee raises has been talked about for raising these things.
You're right.
So-
That's the only thing that's been mentioned. I figured everything else everybody just knew, but you're right. It should be laid on the table.
Capital improvement.
No, I brought it up several times and nobody but you in this moment has brought it up because we only brought raising these up was to try to find money to give employees raises. And that's all we've talked about. And I've had people question me. So you're just raising it for employee
No,
raises.
I would like to
No.
gravel.
We
What
haven't raised it
else?
in 22 years.
What
It's a-
percentage and what else are you saving back for it? And what percentage of this increase are you intending to put
infrastructure
towards
in
that?
the town.
I would like to address.
operate it.
That's very broad, Annie. So
The
I
increase
guess
of
the citizens are
inflation
concerned
alone
that
is enough to
nothing is gonna happen
continue.
but the raises, because that's how it consistently goes. So they want some type of assurance, be it verbally, who's ever figuring these numbers and doing it.
we can't
who can be
actually
held
do
accountable
anything
when nothing happens for these raises.
unless we
besides
have
that
a competitive
specific
wage to hire an employee at. At this point, we can't get a third person even hired on to take care of the infrastructure that we're taking
Well, we
dealing
can,
with
we
right
just
now.
haven't decided
thing.
on
We
who it's
can, we
gonna
just
be.
haven't done it. And like I said, best insurance around. That's why.
I would like to
That's
address.
taken
That's a
into
you don't
consideration.
even actually know that at this
I'd
point.
like to address our building across the
No, it's
street.
better than the school.
All right,
I
hang
would
on,
like
hang
to-
on, hang on. One
I'd
at a
like to
time.
address our building across the street that everybody knows is a huge problem. You especially.
Thanks. This is the first time anybody's brought it up.
The alleyways, I think, need to be gravelled. I would like to take care of not just the ones on the other side of Main Street, but throughout the rest of the town where alleys are just nothing but grass or mud.
I'd like sidewalks on every block, and that 1% is going to run out before we can even achieve that. I'm sure
Well, it's
everybody
taken
would
too
agree.
long to get concrete
Next
poured
Scobie,
and
if his
put out.
numbers pan out from what he told us, it could actually happen.
Perhaps,
Yeah.
but maybe not on the lifespan of that 1% sales tax. Obviously, there's curbs and guttering, all that maintenance that we defer down the road that gets worse and worse. Everything you say about streetscape that looks terrible. Obviously, that's stuff that we would like to do, but we don't always have the money for. So inflation is one thing we have to keep up with, and we haven't at all. We haven't
Thank you.
touched it.
That
We
is
also
correct.
misspend in directions we should not as well.
Oh, and I think every person at the table could probably take some blame for that. Legitimately.
Not me. I don't do anything wrong.
Well, once I
Excuse
thought
me.
you were
Except for
mistaken.
We're
You
not
wrong,
perfect
but you
people,
were
for sure.
mistaken.
Gosh.
According to Leslie,
Just the whole like water, I think it was like 2001, I think. Was that
Mhm,
was that accurate?
2000, yes.
Last time they were raised. So, you know, I mean, what's a hammer cost in 2001 versus what's a hammer cost today? Or anything for that matter, you know,
The
10 feet of
inflation the
pipe
last
or,
3
know.
years was
Look
murder.
at
Oh,
what-
yeah.
What your treatment chemicals are.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, then,
Crazy.
so I mean, just the cost of doing business.
Justin, do you have to do an upgrade on the water plant pretty soon?
Well, that's kind of on
Yeah.
the horizon.
I'm looking at a grant possibility for that too.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty good.
Mike has
maintaining the
said
city
build
is
a
not
new
always the
water
pretty
plant,
stuff.
but-
It's the stuff we don't get to see on a daily
Yeah,
basis
last
on
time
the
you
street.
did major-
I
For the
wish-
pretty stuff here,
I
we
wish, Brett,
never-
with all my heart it was.
All
But
that
dude, I also
we
want
never
clean
hold
drinking
anybody
water
to
that doesn't poison.
Anybody else want to chime in while this is going
No, thanks.
on? Okay. all right.
Anyway,
All I can tell you is the
Gets
last
me
time that they did a
confused.
water infrastructure, they put in a whole bunch of new water pipes and stuff, and it was wonderful because we didn't have water breaks over and over like Topeka does.
mhm.
That the water breaks slow down these guys in the middle of the winter, freezing. You know, even Joe Elliott, that's how far back it goes. But they put in that half of the city, they finished it. It's the best thing. People.
Oh, I'm
people
absolutely on
love
board with
being-
that. I would like to
they
not be
love
poisoned
infrastructure.
with our
Well,
lame duck.
Absolutely, we need those, but I just want assurance that it's not gonna all be absorbed.
I
into
couldn't
one
give
area.
you an assurance anyway because we have no idea what we're
Right.
actually getting
we
out of
have
it.
to,
Yeah,
we have to know what we're getting when the report comes in.
And
from
we can't
Chris
designate money. We don't actually know what's there.
And that's my issue. I agree with Andy 100% at this point. I also agree with Brett. We need to break it down. We need to find out how much the increase is going to be. Is he doing gas as well or just water? He's
No,
just doing the water,
It's
isn't
just doing water.
he? And we can't do the gas anyway. That's KCC that decides that. We
We
can
can,
ask.
we just can't raise them on the jurisdictional customers. at that
Right,
time.
right.
But yeah,
Any case.
But we need to push for that too, and because that's been 11 years, I think, since that's been last raised.
2007.
207.
Yeah.
That's more
Longer.
2007.
I have
So,
no
16
idea
years.
who it is at the commission that you would contact to find out, but I would like to know what it would take because of our
To
unique
increase.
situation.
Yeah.
Not just to increase it in town. I know that we can do that at the drop of a hat or at the vote, whatever.
Yep.
But I'm not interested in raising it only for the people that we have in
Right.
power.
Not just for
Yeah.
convenience, but for
Right.
consistency.
I want to.
Yeah.
I want to do it across the board, and I want to know what it would take from the commission.
I'll have an answer for you
For
by
us to know.
September 11th. Okay.
And
Fair
I do
enough.
have some information.
Okay.
I mean, not
And we
concrete
took this all away
information,
from
but-
you just a second ago. So
No,
have the
I
floor,
don't have any
Kellyanne.
concrete information, but I did, Lisa and I looked, she helped me research back to what was done the last time the changes were made. And we need to come up with, a proposal to them of what we would like to do. If we want to just, have increase like the minimum, where do I have it here? If it just increase the minimum, or increase the minimum and the margin increase, we send them Todd, I think maybe you or were you involved with this when they did it before?
I don't set prices, but I can.
No, right. So the council, of course, decides how much they want to propose an increase. So for instance, in 2007, the council proposed a $2 increase for the minimum. They came back with, instead of a full $2, it went from $7.70. We requested $9.70. We were approved at $9.50. A small increase for the oil well increase. We requested to have a reconnect fee increased from 15 to 50. They came back and they said 15 to 30. We requested the increase deposit from 80 to, I think they had asked for 100, I forget what it was. Oh no, they asked for 3 times the average bill. That was rejected, and we were told that we could only charge 2 times the average bill. So basically, I think the first step is deciding where you guys want to start with how much of an increase do you want to present to them and say, this is what we want to do.
And then
And they're
and then-
going
and
to
then-
crunch the numbers and come
and
back.
then double that so they reduce it to what we want.
My wife works.
That's the way that works.
My wife works at Evergy and she works in the race department. She
Mhm.
deals directly with the commissioners.
Okay,
she has told me that when Evergy wants to have a rate case, they have to present the commission with, we need this much money because of this project we
Correct.
either did, like a storm, or a future project that they're planning on doing this.
Mhm.
So we need this much out of our rates.
Correct.
Do we have to provide them with something like that? Do we have to say, okay, we're planning on burying our gas line south of town? We're planning on applying for a grant, but it's gonna cost us this much money. Do we need to supply them with something like that? Or can we just simply tell them, look, we haven't raised them in so many years and all the prices have gone up. We need to recoup that.
So from what I saw in the 2007, we didn't send anything, any information to back up the request for the increase. Now, I didn't look through the whole file. Maybe we sent the original request and they came back to us and they said, okay, justify this. And it was a back and forth. It was several months. I want to say it was possibly like 9 months that it took the back and forth. So again, I'm looking at the file more. Lisa's trying to give me as much information as she remembers and helping me go through it. So by 9/11, hopefully I'll have familiarized myself with it a little more to be able to give you guys a little more detail.
There's also a strong possibility that they've changed their ways in 15
Correct.
years.
Yep.
So
Exactly. And Lisa has reached out to someone and
at the commission,
and yes, and asked for information, asked, for some guidance as to where we go, where do we start? So
But as far as throwing like an entire year of financials at them, that's not really necessary. I mean, we didn't really.
well, I
Or
can
did we?
say back in 2007, it did not appear that we did, but I'm sure that things have changed and I'm sure that the procedures are different now. So I'll have more information for the next meeting.
Is Chris Pine doesn't do like gas rate review?
No, it's
Okay.
just a water.
And then is there any service, like, is there any reason that we could or should get a rate review for the gas? Maybe it's not even available.
Yeah, does KMGA do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll
'Cause
find
that might
out.
at least
I
give us
don't
a
know.
recommendation.
They've come in here before and said, oh, we do this and this and this and this. And
Yeah.
I don't know if rates are one of them, but I don't know. We're also in the minority because
KRGA.
most of the people they deal with are not jurisdictional entities. So
Good call.
I just wasn't even sure if it was possible.
yeah.
I mean, I
That
have
sure would be
guidance,
nice.
yeah.
You see the bullseye, know what we should be shooting for. All right.
That's it.
You know, to put September 11th, it's on the agenda. Water and gas.
I think by the same token, it's easy enough to come up with a number if you just want 20% more, revenue and raise your rates by 20%, you raise your minimum by 20%, you raise your fees by 20%, and you should have it. I mean, it's not really hard math, but I don't know.
20%.
I mean, whatever.
He's just
the
throwing
number
that
is,
out
I
there.
don't know.
But that's like I say, if you want a $5 rate increase, don't ask for $5. You ask for 10,
Well, yeah,
and then let them talk you down to 5. And you say, well, all right, we'll take 5.
breaking my arm, man.
Yeah. I shouldn't be telling you all the secrets. I'm about to sell my house. So do you want to table the employee payroll to the 11th as well, Annie?
I mean, we're not gonna, I guess, so.
We can get that water and gas stuff by the 11th. Just plan on that. Just plan on having that on the agenda on September 11th.
Sure, I'll call around more and get insurance rates.
Okay. That's all that's on the books here. We've got everything talked about. Does anybody have any council concerns? Mayor concerns, I have one question. This was in the packet, but I didn't see it on the agenda. It's a letter from Craig and Pam Mearhoff, I guess that's how they pronounce it. Are those folks here tonight? No. Okay. Does everybody see that letter in their packet?
I saw it.
Yeah, I saw it.
I did have something too, Terry. Greg Barron that has the contract for the hay out at the lake.
Yes.
He sprayed again that European grass that's invasive and taking over, and he's wanting to coordinate some type of burn, maybe with John Taylor or maybe get with Mike and try to burn it at the end of August this year before the seeds get set so that they'll burn up instead of getting into the ground. So I wanted to bring that up because he's spending his own time and money spraying that for us.
I don't have a problem with it. Does anybody else?
Yeah.
No.
Take care of
We
it,
tried
Trevor.
a
Thank
full
you.
burn on that before. Or?
We did. They didn't get to it till the spring, and he's thinking that it doesn't get the seeds, and they're gonna have to do this 3 years to actually get the patch. And you'll notice that it's right behind the flag when you enter there. They didn't hay it, so it's much taller than the rest right now. And there's other areas, but it's really invasive, I guess, and it just chokes out all the natural grass. It can get out of hand really quickly. So
Is that the end?
no. The other part is I'm bringing up the trumpet vine and the jasmine again out at the lake. It's the trumpet vine is starting over by the dam, down by the cemetery, and then the jasmine is on the dam between the stock pond and the lake. And I called Wabunsee County Obnoxious Weed. I didn't get very far with them, so I called Wildlife and Parks. They directed me to call another obnoxious weed from a different county, so I called Shawnee County. He was very helpful. So first they were talking about some type of herbicide, and then he's supposed to be getting back to me if Pasture Guard, which our obnoxious weed in Alma sells, will work for trumpet vine and jasmine. But I would like to get it sprayed this fall and then again in the spring, simply because it's going to get out of control really quickly.
Did they suggest what to spray it with?
It's Pasture Guard,
Pasture
where
Guard.
you could find some type of herbicide that targets vines or brush, but not being specific, that specific thing could take multiple years to kill. So hopefully this Pasture Guard will get ready. But in saying so, the dam between the stock and the lake that has the jasmine on it, we're not going to be able to get a 4-wheeler with the sprayer like we have to spray that. So we're going to have to invest in some type of like backpack for somebody to walk it and spray, because that's the only way to get back in there. I know you want a path cut in there.
There's a lot of poison ivy in that vicinity also. Yes, I do want.
Anyway, so
Selfish reasons.
that's in the works. And I'll have another report on the 11th. But I just wanted to get permission that it's okay to burn the end of August after or getting in touch with John Taylor. Is
Yeah,
everybody
they
okay with that?
they need to get the permits from the county if they have to.
Absolutely, we have a permit.
Okay.
Speaking of that stock pond, we need to make it a plan to drain it in the spring when it's not covered with moss. If we drain it right now, we're just gonna kill all the fish that are in it because they don't go down the drain. But we need to dump it into the lake and use it for which means all my bait will go down the drain, but I'll find it somewhere else.
Can we address this letter?
Either that or we ask these people to be at the meeting 9/11.
Well, I could tell you, if you haven't looked at this letter, they're asking, they have a home, existing home with the dock, and they have an empty lot with no dock. They're saying we want to build a house on the empty lot, sell our house, sell the transfer dock, and then have a new dock for that location. And I think the answer to those questions is you don't get an answer. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just saying you're not approving, as far as I can tell, you're not approving placement of docks when there's not a habitable structure, which is answer one. Right now, they have one habitable structure, they have one dock. They don't have a habitable structure on the other one, so they don't get a dock, right?
Yeah, they want to
Correct.
transfer the current dock to their new home, and then
So they don't have a new home.
once they do,
Well, they
build it.
there is, and that's my second issue.
Maybe open.
There is no future.
There's no home there
requests.
right now.
Well, no, there is no request for things that do not exist in front of this body.
Right.
Because everything this body may not exist, like, you know,
Correct.
when this new house gets built. That's why I said they don't get an answer, because until they build the house and until they ask to that council in the future, it doesn't exist. The issue doesn't exist. The moratorium may still be in place. I don't know. That's a separate question. The moratorium's in place. The current regs don't allow it, and you're not presented with a question right now. And they take the risk of building that place and not having the right to have a dock on it because of what that future council may or may not vote. For all I know, there may be different people around here and they all may vote to give them 10 docks. But that ain't, this isn't an answer you guys can give these people.
So could we explain that to them at the next meeting?
That's fine. If they need an explanation, that's
Or can we just send something in the mail to them or in an email?
Save us the time argument.
It wouldn't be an argument, statement of facts.
Oh, it's always an argument.
Well, they don't have an email address on here, or I'd volunteer to give them that answer.
They used to have a street address.
But I'll send them a letter if you want.
I don't want to pay Tom to send a
Big
letter.
no on the paper.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we got a meeting recording. Please consult the.
Well, we could have the
People over here
city
taking
clerk
notes.
or treasurer send an email back to these people.
Or actually call them.
Are they on, Richard, are they on your list, your email list?
Mayor Hobbs, yes.
Well, did you get
It's a lot cheaper
gist
than
of my
I
answer?
think so.
He was writing, I was watching. I don't know
There
if he's
you go.
drawing a picture or
Yeah.
He's got little squiggles
stick
on.
figures.
It's called shorthand. Remember that?
Okay.
So they got an answer. And if they don't, if they need another one, come back.
When you're done, I'll wait till
The
you're
last thing that I just remembered is that I've been getting complaints about the steps at the wall at the beach because they're so slippery. And I've had a couple people request about a handrail in the middle of one of those steps so that people can get down. So maybe it is really slick.
It is.
And if you, I mean, I'm pretty agile, I think, and I almost busted my.
Oh no, yeah,
It
any
is very
moss on that step, and yeah, you're gonna go
I have
down.
the answer to that. You know, that when you go to a swimming pool and you go down the steps, sometimes at the pool they got that gravelly,
Sandy type.
not
Mhm.
slippery stuff. Well, I called Kelly the other day and had her look it up, and I just looked at it in her office. So, I mean, Busy Bees, I will purchase it.
What'd you look at? You just said you looked
It's
at.
tape that goes across the
Right.
It's
concrete.
tape.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's waterproof and not, and then it's not slick.
Which I think is a great idea in addition to a rail. But I still think the old people need a rail to have as steady
And children.
themselves.
I
Anybody.
talked about a rail earlier because
I don't
I have
feel
to
like
have a rail
that.
if I
I can tell
was
you
to
it
get in and out of
is
that
like a
water.
rail.
I don't speak
I've had
eloquently.
nothing.
No,
Had left
Mature.
I would just- What's next?
If everybody's done, I want
I
to
thought
say,
you were done.
speak yet.
Oh, and how many
Thought
do
you
you
were trying to
have?
leave.
I just have one, and it was an issue that only came up tonight. We had some people come in here and ask us to remove some trees, and I don't know if the council here remembers what those people have done to us. They came in here with the intent of deceiving us, lied through their teeth to us. We gave them permission to do something. They did something completely different. They begged forgiveness, and not only did they get forgiveness, they were allowed to put their dock that wasn't supposed to be there and drag it clear over the other side of the lake. I mean, they've done nothing but make fools of us time and time again. And now we're going to go out of our way to go remove some trees from them after they illegally removed trees off their own property, which to me made the beavers say, oh, well, there's the only trees left. I guess I'll chew on them. So beavers killed more trees. We're going to remove them for them, though. I'm not so sure that that's a good idea. If the trees are not in danger of falling on anybody, I say we let nature play its course.
They remove trees on their own property or the city's
On
property?
city's property.
Okay, you said their own property.
They're snapped
The-
off
you're
and
right.
hanging. So like if somebody, it could fall if somebody walks under them.
No, I think we're talking about different, the thing that you said was they took down trees on,
our property without our permission.
okay.
Councilman Kimball over there took me out there a long time ago and said, look at this, Tim. Look, there's a stump, there's a stump, there's a stump. He showed me all these places where they cut down all of these trees without our
Is
permission.
that the place that put a swing up there on the corner, top of their lot? They had-
There's a
That's
French
different
horn
place.
grown into a tree up there.
Which we've allowed
It's kinda cool.
things, and they did the very same thing. That's saying that it's not unique to these people. What Tim's saying or stating is that they try to take advantage of us. That's not unique to us happening. There are many people out there doing the same thing.
But she walked along the shoreline and lied to me repetitively. And I said, whatever you do, we'll let you do this, but do not do this. That's exactly what she did. She didn't even stray a foot.
It's
That's
city
how we treated
property
us.
though, you gotta maintain city property.
That's what I was trying to get into, Todd, is that we went through this, that we have no legal liable thing to go out there and cut anything. If it falls on their dock, it falls on their dock. We're not legal or liable for it. They built that dock there under that tree. They take responsibility for it. We're not in the business of cutting trees down. The last time we cut one down, it was $3,000, which means we wait 30 years on that property to make a profit at what we get for a dock fee. It's just not feasible for us to be going around the lake anytime, getting bids and cutting down thousands of dollars for bids. The bid right after that one that came in, it trickled in the very next meeting, $1,500. So there's 15 years waiting for fees on that property. Every time that happens, that's going to happen. We go and we hire somebody to clean up this shoreline here. I'm telling you, you're going to have 50 to 100 more requests to have us do the same thing, and we have no money to do any of it.
Okay, we'll just increase the dock fees.
Absolutely.
Move to adjourn.
Tenfold.
Before you adjourn, should I change my notes on user's property? Because I had it down that you were going to take care of the trees.
Yeah, why didn't we bring that up
Did we
while they were
agree to
here?
All they did was said they were gonna go.
So we're gonna
we
look
should
at 'em.
Go out and look at them.
We'd say we're gonna remove them. That was not decided.
Well, I don't.
Said we're gonna go look at them.
Okay, my error then.
I might
Sent
be
that
wrong.
way as well.
I don't think
Maybe we need to
Richard's
check
wrong.
the tape.
I don't
I think
remember.
Richard's right in
I
what
think
he's
he
saying.
is right. He was taking notes while you said it, so I don't think you'd be wrong.
I don't.
We let them believe that that's
Just
what we're
let me
doing.
know what your decision is and I'll change, I'll make.
My
that-
We have to
understanding,
make it
my
right now so
understanding
you
was
know.
that
We can't leave and
You know,
not.
they can, if they feel like they have been wronged by what was represented here, they can take legal action and make a claim.
He did say he'd pay for it himself in the middle of all that.
he did.
He said he was wanting our blessing. That was kind of.
Yes, that's
So
what he
that,
said.
well, and therein lies the question of whether you trust what he's going to do.
Gee, given previous history, should I trust them? They made their own bed.
There are some trees that we could take care of that would be totally feasible for any of our employees to do so, whoever we decide to do it. There's others down by the water that it's not going to be feasible for our employees to be pulling those out of the water, especially if we don't have a boat to help them. Like, we're not sending them to drown themselves in the lake.
It's a very, very steep.
It is super steep. I mean, we have good insurance, but
Move to adjourn.
I still wouldn't send our employees
Come
down
on.
there.
Second, third.
Motion to adjourn by Tim, seconded by Michelle. Those in favor? We're adjourned.
Aye,
No, don't get in Michelle's way. Let her go.
You know, I'm letting you guys clear out, man. You just
You
go
don't want me to
ahead.
get in front of you, so you hit me with your cane.
Yeah, now that you don't have yours.
Yeah.
No, because I might lose my balance if I hit you. I made one for you and one for me.
Is this the total? This is what we're down to?
That's the delinquency report.
Wow.
$5?
Getting close. Look at this bottom line, guys, if you want to right quick.
I know.
Remember what it used to be? Remember what it was a year ago?
Oh, God.
Can you say 80,000?
I was gonna say it was in the tens.
80,000 a year ago.
Whoa.
Look what it is now.
I get you.
It's not bad.
My God, that's celebration money right there, or not money, but time. Reason for celebration.
Everything just.
I know.
I'm glad you
because
started
when I
doing
was
it.
that next thing.
That's why I kept smoking.
And keeps me busy.
I guess
Wait,
so.
because for me it'll be if that CDBG says park again. I'm gonna go crazy on that grant.
What's that? Oh, yeah, back, well, I can tell you why. Because people calling up and not understanding what was being presented at the time and nuking it. So,
Always.
yep. Instead, you got people working their butts off now just to get a fraction of what that would have done for us.
Yeah.